Stop wasting your money on all those low carb breads. Now, granted, I am so excited that the supermarket is offering it to us because they are pretty delicious. Well, maybe some of them are. Some of them are a little stale, a little hard. You can't toast some of them. Some of them are just plain weird. But what if I gave you a way that you could make your own low carb bread with a few ingredients? You gotta do this. You're gonna save money. The family's gonna love it. And it's time for you to join me in the kitchen. Preheat that oven to 350 degrees. And it's time to showcase our first ingredient, which is almond flour. Yes, indeed. You see that is great value, which comes from the awesome Walmart, because y'all know I'm bougie on a bayou. We're gonna go ahead and add 1.5 cups of almond flour to our bowl. I'm gonna get a ton of questions. I get it. Y'all gonna ask, Shelly, can I do coconut flour? I think you can. I think this recipe would work with a cup of almond flour and 1/2 cup of coconut flour. I wouldn't do a half combination. Go ahead and try it. If you do, let me know how it turns out in the comments. Adding that baking powder in there, 1 full teaspoon. The responsibility of baking powder in our recipe is to make the product rise. We do not like a flat recipe, so add that baking powder in there. You can see it's great value. So again, yes, Walmart's bougie on a bayou, because I ain't got time to be going to no fancy stores, and quite frankly, I ain't got the money. So I'm using my amazing equipment right here, which is a fork, which I'm sure you all have, to mix this almond flour up real quick. 4th cup of almond flour, 5 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, coming in at 2 net carbs. I am adding in that Preheat 2% yogurt. Now, this only has 5 grams of carbs in there. Now, this goes throughout the entire recipe before anybody panics and says, well, Shelly, we're low carb. Can we do the full fat version of this yogurt? I personally would not. And it's not because I don't like the full fat version. It is because almond flour already has some fat in there. If we overdo the fat in the recipe, we will get an incredibly flat product. Now, if you're making this maybe into a biscotti, it could work. So you could do that full fat Preheat. But again, I recommend 2% just because that almond flour does have already some fat in there. Now you can go ahead and add a little bit of salt to this. I would encourage you use the red mineral salt or the regular salt that I have. Now this is where y'all can have so much fun, and I highly recommend having fun in the kitchen. You can add rosemary to this. You can add thyme. Give me some suggestions on some combinations, because I want to bring you some fantastic recipes. Now I have my old pan. You know I love old pans. I love Corningware. Let me know what kind of Corningware you owned back in the day, if you had the multicolored flowers or the blue or that kind of avocado color. I used my parchment paper. You can kind of see I'm on the struggle bus of tearing it, and I just dumped the mixture on the parchment paper. Woo, can't really talk today. Mix it all up and mold it into what you want to mold it into. I wanted to kind of do that cool restaurant style bread. Again, a little bit on the struggle bus with making a beautiful shape. But gang, you have to remember, if you make a really thick shape, you're going to have to bake it longer. So just remember that. Before popping this bad boy in the oven, we're going to spray it with a little bit of our non-stick cooking spray. I did use olive oil base. Remember, we are baking this between 28 and 40 minutes. Why the big time span? It is because we want to make sure it gets cooked fully. If it's thick, you need to cook it a little longer. If it's not so thick, you can cook it a little bit less. Our bread is beautiful. I'm ready to cut me a slice, have me a little bit of butter on there. And if you were too busy laughing and didn't get to write down the recipe, scroll below. It's going to be in the comment section. And for more low carb and laughter, make sure to subscribe. And oh yes, what's coming up next is a great pizza recipe that's no carb. Much love, gang.